We are a team. As storytellers and dreamers,
there is always magic to discover.
Once upon a time,
a Las Vegas showgirl
and a comedian magician
figured out that even with different perspectives,
our adventures and experiences together
are really just
one big
caper. Welcome back to One Big Caper. I am Phelyx. This is my partner Athena. And again, I said welcome back, and then I introduced us. So I hope you know us already. If you don't, we have a bunch of episodes up. You can binge us at any time. We just talk about prompts, and we go unscripted. This episode is part of a series. We have 2 series going on right now that are just kind of intermittently sprinkled throughout our releases every 2 weeks. And this particular one is about pivotal moments in our lives and generally how they affected our careers in show business.
Yep. Yeah, I thought this was a great idea.
So. I think it's a good idea. It's one of those things that we realize people have questions of us all the time, and that is one of the questions. You know, they certainly want to know. I would say top of the list is horror stories.
Yep.
And then success stories, or pivotal moments.
Or what made you get into what you do now?
Right.
Yeah.
What made you
make the choice?
Choose show business.
Right.
Why would you get into show business?
Because it's the greatest drug there ever was.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, my love, I got to start last time. It's your turn.
Oh, I'm going to start.
Yes.
Okay. I have given this a lot of thought because there are so many moments I can go through in my life, and very often I am reminded of something new. I don't think about these things all the time unless I'm asked, and in this case I'm asked by our list of what people have asked us before, and that sends me in all kinds of wonderful places. Just I'm not one to really live in the past. I am more excited about what's next. Mm-hmm. I'm always excited about the next thing. I perform as an artist, a visual artist. I create stuff. I make stuff. Mm-hmm. And I've been asked back when I painted more than I do now, which I believe is going to come back into my life, but I've been asked what's your favorite painting, and I would always say the next one. Yeah, I don't live in the past like that, which is interesting.
You meant what you've created.
Yeah, my favorite painting that I've created.
I'm
yes,
sorry. When you said that, I went to like the Mona Lisa or whatever.
Gotcha. I should have been more clear.
I don't like that one, but I'm just thinking.
I'll have to figure out what my favorite painting another artist has done. I don't have a favorite. I have favorite artists, but that's a different thing. So what occurred to me this time was something that people are often surprised to hear me say, which is I suffered from stage fright. I really suffered from stage fright. And it's hard even for me to remember that sensation because I've been on stage for so many years, so many hours flight time on stage in front of audiences, in front of television cameras. And so I've had to kind of back engineer, like, how did I get over the stage fright so that I can share that with other people. This is something I certainly recognize, is that public speaking in our culture is the number one fear over snakes or death or
even death,
spiders
Yep.
I'm not the one who coined this, but the observation is funny to me and oddly true. At a funeral, people would rather be in the box than to deliver the eulogy.
That's awful.
That's what it really comes down to, but it is the number one fear, and I suffered from it. So I guess that might help me be more effective as a coach or a teacher. Mm-hmm. But I had a great luxury as a magician because I was able to step up to larger audiences, if you will. So I performed what we call strolling magic or table magic, restaurant magic. I did all of these things. And my audiences were often 2 to 4 people, and I was able to, hold that audience and learn the process of holding an audience, and then gradually getting larger audiences. When I finally did street performing in the 1980s, I was responsible for building the crowds, and I could build them, as big as the space would allow, I suppose. Granted, what I was performing was kind of small, so that eliminated kind of the back rows, I suppose. But
Right.
nevertheless, I finally, in the world of burlesque, really started spending more time on stage and getting more and more comfortable on stage. So I would say that my stage comfort didn't come until as recently as 18 years ago. Wow. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. I had spent time on stages and I had performed in shows and that kind of thing, but I always had somebody with me. I always had a partner or other performers or whatever, which gave me a lot of comfort. So spending time by myself and holding an audience was something that I really didn't truly get until about 18 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you have it. That's how
There you have
you
it.
get rid of stage fright. You just keep
building audiences.
performing, and for
Yeah.
small to large audiences. Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
I suppose.
It's funny when you say that, because when I was in the show, when I first got into the show, and I first became a topless dancer, so I was a covered dancer first, and I did experience stage fright, no matter how many performances I had done up to that point till the age of 20, and then it was like I had other people on stage with me, not just a handful of people. I had 84 other performers on stage with me.
Yep.
So it helps to have okay, we're all in this together.
Right.
In this this show, and we're all working together to make this the best show people have ever seen. So, yeah, I guess so. It's just flight time, as they call it.
Flight time. Yeah.
Interesting.
The expression that it takes 10,000 hours to be an expert at something comes to mind, and I think I may have 10,000 hours on stage.
You have way more than that.
I know you do. Well, I might have more, but I don't
No.
have as much as you.
The difference between the way we have both performed is you're speaking to an audience. You're holding the audience captivation. But me, I'm dancing. And
Right.
in burlesque, it was very different than the ballet stage or even the show stage, is that you have people that are really drunk and really raucous, and just some people having conversations and not even paying attention to what's going on stage. So there's that too. So it was a little different. It's it didn't really, the audience didn't matter to me after so many years of.
In my experience in burlesque, an audience it's little different than a kindergarten.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So pivotal. That's pivotal because it's
the stage bug bit me, so I no longer do strolling or ambient performing. I changed to strictly a stage performer.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, and that's very recent.
That I elected to retire from any kind of strolling performance.
Yeah.
It's common for a corporate event to want to hire a strolling or ambient magician, and I did it for many, many years. But I was always a little uncomfortable with the idea that my job was to interrupt people. And I didn't understand, I was able to win them over, but to disrupt conversations between people, I certainly used my powers for good in that I could recognize when I could observe that somebody might be a little bored or might be the wallflower who isn't really joining in the party, and I was able to kind of get them involved in something and bring other people in. And as I became more and more skilled at that, I discovered at these events I was building a crowd anyway, like a
Right.
street performance.
Right.
And then I was holding court with the entire party and pretty well on stage anyway.
Right.
So, yeah. But the professional interrupter, I just don't care for that anymore.
You heard it right here.
You have a pivotal moment that
I
came to
do.
mind.
And so in my last pivotal moment, I talked about the choice going into ballet, like how going to one summer camp changed my path as a person and as a dancer. This particular one is kind of an extension of that. So when you are of a certain age in high school, you start getting brochures and things sent in the mail from various colleges, and you're on a list. I don't know how you get on this list. Maybe you take ACTs and SATs, but you get on a list and you start getting hounded by
You're
colleges.
quoted by universities, colleges, and credit card companies.
Oh, that's right, the credit card
military.
companies and the military. Okay, so that I was getting those just special pieces in the mail. I wasn't getting mail from anyone else. Just these people that wanted my money or my parents' money, and it was not for me. I had decided, I think I was middle of my junior year, that I decided, no, I'm going to go pro. I'm going to join a ballet company. So that is a completely different chain of events in order to make happen. Instead of sending your essays and your applications to colleges, you're sending, at the time, VHS tapes of you in ballet class and possibly a performance. And you would send these tapes with your resume and your headshot and your body shots, because as a performer, you are also judged on your appearance, not just your actual like intellect. Well, you're not really ever judged on your intellect as a performer, unless like maybe an actor is, but it has to do with how you look. So your body, and so you have your headshot and your body, and you're doing the basic ballet poses. And so you'd have to hire a photographer, you have to hire a videographer to do these things for you to get this kit ready to send off to ballet companies. So, and I think the process is similar today. There is more, from what I hear, universities involved that are paired with ballet companies now, which is really surprising, number one. But two, it's what's the word? I'm happy to hear, because...
Is it like an athletics program? Or?
I believe so.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So, like the big companies like New York City Ballet, American Ballet Theater, or San Francisco Ballet, they're related to universities. So those kids can go and be professional ballerinas or ballet dancers, and also get university education. So it's a double.
Great. You can't dance
It's a
forever.
double bachelor's, basically.
Right.
So you can't dance forever. And so in the past, it has been either you have a backup plan, or your backup plan is to find the rich patron that you retire from dance and don't have to do it. You have your
I guess that's
patron.
a lot like athletic programs anyway. I mean, not we know, of course, we know that people in ballet are athletes.
Yes.
But you can't play football forever either. So,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, so that was the thing I did, and because of my height, I was already probably 5'7.5", 5'8" by that point, maybe almost 5'9", who knows? Maybe I could probably find my medical records and find out my last physical, but there were very few companies that accepted dancers of my height, and they were very strict on other things, like Pacific Northwest Ballet loved tall women, but they had to have the banana feet, the feet that like were incredibly flexible and like curvy hooks at the, they look like bananas at the end of your legs when you're doing your extensions and things. I don't have that. I have a nice point, but it's just not the hook. And then American Ballet Theater, maybe, and then New York City Ballet. They like the tall, leggy look that's like the legs are like 60 to 70% ratio to the body. And then, so I'm listing out all of these companies I sent to Tulsa Ballet because it was a smaller regional company. Miami City Ballet, Eddie Villela, I got to take class from him. I did not go to New York. I did send to ABT and New York City Ballet because I just was like, you may as well. And Pacific Northwest Ballet, Sarasota Ballet, which is also in Florida. I said Tulsa Ballet already, right? Indianapolis Ballet, which was more Russian. The Tulsa and Indianapolis were both run by Russian-trained director. So that was in my best interest because that was the way I was trained. So it just made sense that I would go to like a Russian-style ballet company. And so once you send them out, they contact you and say, we would love to see you in a live audition. So then you got to make the trip out there. It's kind of like making a trip to go look at a college. And so I got to go to Miami, and I stayed at a condo high-rise on North Beach or wherever. I think it was North. That was a friend of my ballet teacher. So like everyone was helping me out because we were trying to do it on a budget, and my parents are paying for all these tickets. So we went to Miami, went to Tulsa. I think that was a road trip. I flew to Indianapolis, and I stayed with family that I didn't even know existed. And then I got a job offer. So my heart was set on Tulsa because I had so much fun doing the company class. You go and you take class with a company, and they look at how you fit in with the company as you take class. So Miami City Ballet was like a joke. There was no way I could do Balanchine, even though I had just performed Western Symphony, which is a Balanchine ballet. I just didn't have the training to move that fast. I had the look, I had the body, but I didn't have the training. And it would just, so it didn't work out. Sarasota didn't work out. But my heart was set on Tulsa. And it was because I just loved the director. I loved all the dancers were incredible. And it was a small company. And I was just like, oh, this is where I want to be. Didn't get in. I think they said I was too tall. But I went to Indianapolis. And again, they were all Russian trained or of the style. And I had a weird feeling about that company. Everyone was very catty. It was like Colorado Ballet. Colorado Ballet back in the time when I was coming up, they were very catty and just, there was bad vibes there. So they took me into the office after the class, and they said, we want you to be an apprentice. And I said, no, I'm here for a corps de ballet contract. And they said, no, you work your way up. I said, I'm an apprentice now. I don't need to be... No, but you're paid. It's okay. I want to be a corps de ballet. And they kept trying, and I said, I didn't realize they were actually offering me a contract. They didn't slide it across the table or anything, but they were trying to offer me a contract. And because I didn't know how to negotiate or anything, I was just like, I just know what I want. I want to be in the corps de ballet so I can work my way up to principal or, And so I just walked out. I said, thank you very much for your time. And I left. And they called my ballet teacher and told her what had happened. And another one of the girls that I grew up with, she got the job. Unfortunately, halfway through the season, she quit dancing completely.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm glad I didn't go take the job at Indianapolis Ballet. But I did it was my last chance. We, for some reason, sent a video to Nevada Dance Theater, which at the time was run by Vasily Sulich, who was in the shows. It was started by him, Nancy Housels, and a handful of other show people. And they wanted to bring more culture to Las Vegas, besides, these flashy showgirl shows. And so they started a ballet company. And it was more contemporary. They did more contemporary stuff. But it had just been taken over by a new director, and he wanted to hire a few new dancers. I think he hired 3 of us that year. And so I went to Las Vegas, and I will never forget my dad saying, when I first flew to Miami, you don't want to live in Miami. Miami's the most dangerous city in the country. Blah, blah, blah. That was my dad. When we flew to Las Vegas for the trip, for the audition, Las Vegas is the most dangerous city for a young girl. And I was like, I thought you said that about Miami, Dad. So, Dad's trying to protect his oldest daughter who was, getting ready to leave the nest. And so I went and did the audition. And in my young eyes, I thought I had very stellar training compared to most of the dancers. I would say 80% of the dancers in the company. I didn't have the stage experience, but I did have pretty great training, except for the Russians. And the Russians were the principals, and, but they loved me. And walked into the office, and they offered me a corps de ballet contract, making $250 a week. And I laugh at that now because I'm just like, I make that like in a day now. But I was 18, first job, out of school. And that was the turning point for me. That was my very first dance job. It was in Las Vegas, and I had 2 weeks to pack my life up and move to Las Vegas, learn to drive, because I had a permit, but I didn't even have my driver's license, get a car, and move to Las Vegas. So it was a pretty, huge time in my life, and all the steps that it finally took to get that contract that I could sign, and yes, I'm a professional ballerina. So, yeah, it was between... my heart was set on, like I said, Tulsa, but I never would have been a showgirl had I
That's
been
right.
anywhere else. So,
Everything would be different.
very different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that was all that I wanted to say about that crazy pivotal moment. It's a huge deal, and I've looked back at. I'm doing a lot of study of lunations and historical lunations, and there was a massive eclipse the week that I moved to Las Vegas in 1997.
Okay.
So yeah. So
Again, this is a series, and we will come back with more stories of different turning points in our lives and careers, and we thank you for joining us. The other series that we're running is about Las Vegas and our experience and knowledge and education of Las Vegas. So
yeah.
Stay tuned. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another episode. Thank you again so much for joining us at One Big Caper.
We can't keep doing this without you. Give us just a little bit of your time by subscribing, sharing, rating, or talking about One Big Caper with someone else. We really appreciate your help.
We want to hear your stories. Visit onebigcaper.com to get to know us even more.
All of the audio and visual digital media associated with One Big Caper, in whole or in part, is the property of Gazellus Productions, LLC.